Welcome back to Locked On Women's Basketball. It's Thursday, so this means that the Final Four starts tomorrow, and Locked On Women's Basketball starts now.
Ogunbowale for the win. Good!
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball.
It's so exciting to have a Locked On Women's Basketball podcast, especially right now in the midst of the women's Final Four. I'm in Cleveland. I'm here with Maria Trivelpiece. She is the multimedia journalist for the Patriot League. She's stopping in tonight because this weekend she's going to be covering mostly UConn hoops for the Big East. Maria, I am so excited to have you. We're going to get into your background, what you're looking for this weekend. For me, I am the social media correspondent at The Next, Gigi Speer, and I'm so excited. We're going to talk all things Final Four, what we're seeing around Cleveland, and we're going to focus specifically on UConn while I have Maria with me. Locked On Women's Basketball is part of the Locked On Network, so thank you for making it your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Also, follow us on social media. I'll be posting all weekend at The Next Hoops. Make sure you check it out. Today's other sponsor is FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 if your bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Okay, guys. I'm here with a very special guest. You can see her right here if you're watching on video. If not, welcome, Maria Trivelpiece.
Thank you, Gigi. I am so stoked to be here. We are in Cleveland for the Final Four. So we gotta talk about a couple things today.
We have to talk about it. And if you're not watching on video, we are talking from a hotel room. This is like, I'm feeling like we're on like sleepover vibes as a kid. And I feel like we're about to play in a tournament. I know we're not, but I'm ready to.
I know. I feel like the atmosphere and vibes are like so good that I am so ready. Like, I mean, not play basketball. Maybe we should have played softball. I don't know.
We could do a pickup game.
Yeah, maybe a pickup game of basketball. I don't know, but there's enough people in Cleveland. We can definitely get enough for a team.
Oh my God. And Maria, this whole city is turned into a Final Four frenzy. So Maria was in the hotel. I was like, let me go for a walk. I wanted to get my hair done. Okay. Honestly, to be real with everyone, in this little walk, 5-minute span, a police escort van, there was 2 police escorts and then a huge team bus, South Carolina. 5 minutes later, NC State. 2 minutes later, Iowa. So I didn't catch UConn.
I was going to say you didn't see UConn.
Yeah, I didn't catch UConn.
We'll see them tomorrow though.
Okay. We will see them. And you've seen this team play.
Yes, I have had the privilege of seeing this team play. They have been so exciting to watch. I mean, I think like the big storylines around them is just like the resiliency that this team has faced. And like you see them fighting every single time they step on the court. So cool.
Okay. And do you have a specific moment that you remember watching them play where you're like, oh, this team can come together and figure it out?
I mean, I think if you watch some of that Syracuse game, just like the fight, literally, like kudos to the Orange. I'm a Syracuse alum, so like they battled to the end of it. I was very impressed with Syracuse, but like the fight in UConn and just like being led by like Paige Beckers and Aaliyah Edwards, they had something different that game, and I think that was like a moment where I was like, oh, they can compete. I mean, people were saying it throughout the year, but like, especially after all the adversity, that was one moment where I was like, they might have a chance at this. So yeah, I guess that was my one moment.
Okay. Thank you for that. And I'm going to throw in a Geno Auriemma quote. Okay. So he said the other day in a press conference, he was like, this is not the Maya Moore team. This is not the Stewie team. Like, people underestimate us. You're not just someone who just stumbled into women's basketball. You've been covering this for a while. Do you feel like this team is underestimated in a way that UConn teams should never be?
Yeah, it's weird because I think like, especially when I was younger, it was just assumed that UConn was going to beat everybody by 20 points. And I remember covering them in the Sweet 16 last year and them almost being like an underdog. And like this season even more because they lost in the Sweet 16 last year. So I just think that like it is unlike anything I've ever seen in UConn basketball. And even despite all of that, they are one of the last 4 teams left in the country. And so I think it just really speaks to like what that program is like as a whole, and what Geno Auriemma has done and what these young women have done to just completely rewrite the narrative and bring UConn basketball to what it has always been.
Yeah, to me, it's UConn's legendary, and it was like no one would ever even try and beat them.
No, they'd be up by like
so
20.
different.
Yeah, insane.
What has it been like for you to work in women's basketball this year?
I think
So first of all, we'll tell everybody like what you have done specifically this season, because we can't talk about your whole career. We'll be on here forever. Yeah. So what have you been up to this season?
Yeah, so just covering like a lot of women's basketball and men's basketball, but like specifically women's basketball across a bunch of different conferences. With the Patriot League, I did some like NEC stuff, A10, and then obviously UConn. And I just think like this year in particular, the buzz and excitement around women's basketball, like we've been saying it for years. We're like, no, this is what you need to pay attention to. But I think like the rest of the country is, you saw them getting on board last year, and now it's like hitting its peak. I want the peak to keep climbing, but I think it's super exciting just to see that like people care so much about it, because we've been caring about it for so long, and just seeing like people talk about it. Like I think it might have been Shaq. He was saying like, I could name so many women's players in the game, but like I can't name as many men's players. And I just think it speaks to the coverage and like the talent of these women. And I think it's really cool.
And what are you going to be looking forward to tomorrow? You're going to be spending a good amount of time with UConn these next couple days.
Oh, yes. I'm going to just watch them in their fight. Again, I love watching the seniors, especially because they know that it could be their last time on the court every time that they step foot on the court. And so I think like watching their fight and the way that they compete is going to be so exciting. They're obviously playing another stud basketball player. She's quite famous, Caitlin Clark. I think that might
Clark. Yeah,
yes,
Caitlin Clark.
Yes,
that was
yes,
who it is.
Yes,
That's
that
who
one.
it is.
You might have heard of her. I don't know. She's been a little bit, but I think like her and like the class of like her and Paige Beckers and like there's just so many women in that class who have been so good. And so I think that, you know, getting to cover UConn and their personalities and their fight and their resilience, and then you have like somebody like KK with UConn who's just like brings all the personality. And so I think watching that team compete against a team that is kind of like America's sweetheart team with like one of the best players, if not the best player in college basketball history, in Caitlin Clark, I think is going to be something that not many people want to miss. And I feel very honored to be able to cover it this weekend.
What's next for women's basketball, would you say, Maria?
Oh, the sky's the limit. I don't know. I don't even know what's next, because I think that like people are finally getting on board. They're finally seeing the coverage. I mean, I think the next step is like, let's get some bigger stadiums. Like you saw the ticket prices. I think they're selling for like twice the face value of the ticket.
$2,000.
Yes,
everyone.
wild.
That's what people are paying for tickets.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
So like, let's start getting like bigger arenas. Let's put it in bigger spaces. Like, I think the coverage needs to continue. More games on TV. You're seeing more and more every year. So I think what's next is like, there's unlimited possibilities. So we need to keep like looking for that. And I'm excited to keep looking for that as well.
Maria, thank you for always looking for that, for finding a way to cover great stories and making sure it's natural for you. You cover the women's game just as much and way better than a lot of people. And I so appreciate your fight for that. And I so appreciate you coming on and coming in the hotel room. Guys, first episode of Locked On Women's Basketball, Thursday edition from a hotel room, on site at the Final Four. And what you said about covering women's basketball, you do that to an elite level. So I'm glad that you had me on. Oh, thank you. I got to stay humble with the Locked On audience. So I mean, don't be humble. You would do such a great job. So I'm glad that I could join today. It was so great coming on. Thank you so much, Maria. Of course. All right, this is going to be a real natural transition. We're going to let Maria go now. And coming up after this, I'm going to talk my favorite Geno Auriemma quotes of the season. Okay. And we're going to get into a little bit more of a UConn basketball breakdown. Maria, Trivelpiece, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you. Good luck with your Geno quotes. I look forward to hearing them. Oh, thank you so much. I'll send them to you. Okay, real natural transition here, guys. Today's episode is presented by Amazon Fire TV. Amazon Fire TV is a great thing. My friends like Maria can come over and we can watch anything we want, from sports to videos to whatever we want to watch. Fire TV is your destination for sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire TV stick that you can plug into your existing TV that provides access to millions of movies and TV episodes, as well as free and live TV. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball or the college basketball tournament, you're going to want to have a Fire TV. So, what are you going to watch on Fire TV? Fire TV recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us at Locked On, and you can keep watching this on that. And most of all, big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels lets you dive into all of the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep up to date with all the latest in the world of sports, March Madness, NBA, MLB, and lots more. Not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, cooking, videos as well. Check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you should. Trust me on this. To learn more, visit www.amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. Once again, that's www.amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. Okay. Also, I want to talk yet again about FanDuel, everybody. So FanDuel is so fun and easy to use, and there's so many opportunities to use it. The sports calendar is loaded, and FanDuel is making it even more exciting to get in on the action. Because right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet the tourney, MLB, NBA, NHL, and much more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn and make your first bet a big win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Guys, shout out to our sponsors because they make shows like this happen, and we can talk about basketball in such great ways on this show. So I want to break down a little bit more of UConn Hoops, okay? So they're coming off a win over South Carolina. Before that, Duke. Before that, Syracuse. Before that, Jackson State. Before that, the Big East, Georgetown, Marquette, Providence. Okay? USC was close, 80-73. Some games weren't as close. Marquette, 58-29. Providence, 86-53. Page leads the team, 22 points. Aaliyah, 17.6. And this is dealing with so many injuries. Edwards, broken nose. DeBerry, concussion. The list goes on and on. But we have to remember that the injuries that happened this year are even half of the story of UConn basketball. Last year, they were without Paige. And before the season even started, I went up to Nika Mule at the UConn Big East Media Day, okay? And I had a microphone with me because I was like, you got to remember what she says. I was talking about this year and how much anticipation there was around UConn going in to start preseason play. She said, I don't think I still understand what this means. This is one of those UConn programs that you talk about. I know Coach Geno was saying this isn't the Maya Moore, this isn't the Breanna Stewart team, but this is a team that figures it out. And like I said, I'm going to get into my favorite Geno quotes, so stay tuned. I asked her also about playing with Paige. This is what she said. She's an amazing player, obviously a great. She makes everyone around her a great too. This is going to be a huge relief, and I'm super happy. A huge relief is right. So everybody I know that tuned in, which is pretty much everybody I know, that tuned in to USC UConn the other night, oh my, was it back and forth. Back and forth. And I think a lot of people are reaching out and asking who you got. Do you got UConn? Historically a great team, amazing coaching and talent, but you can't go deep in the bench because of injury. Do you go Iowa? A historic great. That's pulling things together to become a team. And they're a team. Iowa's playing like a team. So is UConn. Guys, I'm going to be honest. This episode comes out tomorrow, so I want you to tell me what you think. Go over to thenexthoops.com right now and let us know what you're thinking. I'm going to go Iowa. I'm going to go Iowa just because it's going to be really hard to stop a ball from going in the hoop if Caitlin Clark is able to shoot the ball. Truth of the matter. 9 threes the other night. 9 threes. So if Caitlin is hot, it's really hard to outscore her. And these UConn games, okay? The past 7 games, the highest they scored was 86. Coming off this 80-73 performance against USC. This is a team that started with 14 healthy players in June 2023, is now down to just 8 available players to start the 2024 postseason. 8 players, guys. Who's going to guard Caitlin Clark? That's not something that UConn, yes, they're worrying about it, but it's more they are going to have to do a lot of their own jobs if they're going to win this basketball game. And I think that was great to hear from Geno. And I'm going to go back to the quotes because someone asked him, how do you plan on stopping Caitlin Clark? He goes, we don't plan on stopping her because I tried calling all the other coaches that have stopped her and none of them answered the phone. So we're going to have to find a different way to win than stopping Caitlin Clark. So obviously Geno's, he's joking a little bit, but there's a lot of truth to that statement. So if all the UConn players are on, Nika's flowing, Aaliyah's flowing, Paige is flowing, it's going to be a dog fight. Might go to OT. Speaking of Paige, one of the best bars of all time came out of Paige's mouth. I just kept on believing. I did all I could, so God could do all I can. Paige, listen, you have a way with words. And I think you have a great career ahead of you as a wordsmith. That was a great quote. Coming up after this break, guys, is going to be the top 10 Geno quotes. And I'm pretty sure there's at least one on this list that you have just no idea about and you wish you did, didn't you? More coming up after this. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you can still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you can transfer from one other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th. Get started at robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal info. Claim as of Q1 2024 validated by Radius Global Market Research. Okay. We also have to talk about more Locked On news. Okay, everyone? Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. And now you can also find it on Amazon Fire TV. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find the Locked On Sports Today channel now on Amazon Fire TV. Okay, so we're back in this, okay? We're going to talk more UConn. We're going to break this down. They're playing Iowa tomorrow. A lot of people have, actually, how many people? I put up a poll, everyone. All right, everyone listening at home, I put up a poll. And I asked people, who do you got? Okay? And I'm going to do this on multiple apps just to kind of prove a point. But I'm using this one app. 67% of people have Iowa winning. 33% then have UConn. That's 4 votes for UConn, 8 votes for Iowa. Okay, guys, I'll try and get more votes as time goes on. But this is what UConn's going up against. They have tremendous talent on the court. And they're going to be playing against an absolute Goliath in Caitlin Clark. UConn Wooden award All-Americans Paige and Aaliyah going up against Caitlin Clark. And they're having fun, though. The other day, KK was going around filming her team. And she goes up to Geno. She goes, Coach, how you feeling? How you feeling about this? You know, we made the Final Four Final Four again. You got water poured on you. How are you feeling, Coach? Geno says, and I quote, I probably felt like I was underwater. You know, I was soaking wet. We didn't know where I was. I was disoriented. Kind of like you dribbling through the press. So Geno has done this many times now where he's basically throwing his players underneath the bus when asked a question in such a subtle way. And this is how you know you're at the Final Four, because right outside my door, someone just said, go NC State. So they don't know I'm in here talking about UConn. Anyway, we got to get into more Geno Auriemma quotes, because that's just basically getting us into the waters there. So there's number one. That just happened the other day. So I'm going to be using some help from themirror.com. One quote from Geno. She likes it when I yell at her. Talking about Paige. Paige said last year, sitting on the bench, I would have done anything just to be out there and get yelled at. Next up, that's the issue with some of our players. This is in November. And he said that Aubrey Griffin could stat pad in blowouts, saying that she needs to do that before we win by 15 points. When asked about Paige, I thought she was bad, he said. And the list goes on, guys. The list goes on and on. How quickly people forget. Talking about Paige. Again, she almost single-handedly took us to the Final Four and the national championship game. And it was only 2 years ago, Auriemma said. How quickly people forget, right? And he even said we have the best player in America. A couple days ago, he went back on that and said that Caitlin's the best, so Caitlin has nothing to be upset about and no reason to go fully off on UConn on Friday. Okay, those are some Geno quotes that I found from the Mirror. And here I'm going to say a Geno quote that you kind of got to ride the wave with. And that's a little Easter egg for what's to come in the quote. So he's talking about riding the wave of a team falling victim to injury. He says, but sometimes the wave breaks on you early and you hit your head in the sand and they take you to the hospital. Sometimes you ride the wave all the way into shore and it's the greatest ride of your life. So 15 of the last 16 Final Fours, they're back this year. He's riding the wave into shore this year. And I also like this one when he's talking to the players who got injured. This one's a doozy, but I think it's a really good life advice kind of quote. And I wanted to put it in here because, you know, we're a family here at the Locked On Network, and I'm happy you listen and you love women's basketball. So let's at least put some positive energy out there about this game that is so positive for all of us and leading to great connections that we have through things like Locked On. All right. I'll finish this up. Geno says, you always have a choice in life, right? Always is a crazy word, but most times you have a choice. You can choose to sit on the bench and be miserable, feel sorry for yourself, be bitter, jealous, envious, whatever the case you want to be, and act like a spoiled brat. Or you can engage and be part of the team and feel and experience without being out on the court, the emotions and the feelings of the guys are actually playing. And then now you're getting something out of it. You know, you're actually winning. You're not winning the way you wanted to win because you want to be playing, but you'll still be winning. You're feeling the feelings of a winner. That's important. I remind them that all the time. So everyone, take that to heart. You are a winner. Find your way to be a winner. UConn is going to be finding a way, playing Iowa tomorrow. Guys, it's Thursday. We're going to have so much coverage for you on Locked On Women's Basketball and over at the Next Hoops on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Locked On Women's Basketball on YouTube, and of course at thenexthoops.com, where you can read tremendous articles written by my colleagues. Guys, I'm Gigi Speer. Thank you so much for joining Maria Trivelpiece and I on this episode of Locked On Women's Basketball. It is Thursday. Final Four is just happening. Today, I went to Team USA practice. I got to go and see how some of the players are feeling. So all of that is going to be out on the Next Hoops social media. So make sure you check that out. And tune in tomorrow night. The Women's Final Four starts tomorrow. And Locked On Women's Basketball ends right now. Thank you so much for watching or listening. I'm Gigi Speer.